Your name is Donna?
Yeah, Donna Forand, and I'm from Massachusetts. And so I'm involved as an executive director in my church. And I'm also have been advocating through the local police departments. And I stumbled across, after a 2-hour meeting with one of the police chiefs, that he actually was the director of the police academy for domestic violence. So after talking to him about the movie that Ginger had created, I educated him about the movie, and he actually wants to take it into the police academy and re-educate the police department. So that was number one. And then number two is working at my church. I've been working with them to re-educate them about fathers and not abandoning the fathers, because that's happened in the church all over America. The fathers that have been involved in divorce have been abandoned by the churches. So my biggest thing is to re-educate the church, how we have to put our arms around them, pick them up, get them off the ground, re-establish the American family. And that's what we need to do. But after talking to you, it brought some great light that maybe using your book as a tool may be an interesting aspect.
Great. Thank you, Donna. Anybody else have a feeling about how to involve churches in the effort that we all care about involving mothers and fathers equally? How do we best get churches involved as an ally in this process? Let's see, somebody that hasn't spoken already? Yes, say your name.
I'm Peggy Orchowski. I'm from Washington, D.C. I'm an alienated grandmother, and my kids are in Boston. Yes. And in fact, Boston just 2 weeks ago the governor issued a proclamation declaring June 14th Alienated Grandparents' Day. It's a remarkable proclamation in that it focuses on the negative impact on children, on alienation from parents and all. So I took the advantage of that, having that proclamation, took it to the police in Brookline, who said they would give it to their domestic violence dispute people. This is something they were really interested in, and I really suggest you contact police departments in that way. And I took it to my son's rabbi. Now, he was very uncomfortable with this, and my son's on the board there, and he's a wonderful kid, and he just couldn't believe that my son was doing this. And he said, well, and I would like to ask you why a boy would throw his mother under the bus and not stand up for her when they probably face this horrible dilemma where the wife makes him choose between her and his family and his mother. And almost always they throw the mother under the bus. And so I wanted to get the church involved, because the rabbi, or my son, had told me at one point that if his son, who's now going to be 12, if he wanted me at his bar mitzvah, that would be a problem. And I wanted to ask the rabbi about that. Would I be able to go to the bar mitzvah, even if the father didn't want me, but the young man did? And he said, oh, no, this is way above my pay scale. I don't want to get involved. And so I told him, I gave him this proclamation. I said, I'd really like you to be aware of it. This is a red flag. If anything happens to my grandchildren or to my son, I want him to have a background, to know. I don't expect him to do anything, but I want him to know the context if there's some problems. So take this as a red flag. And also, I said, I assure you, there's other families in this parish, or whatever they call it, who are experiencing this. So that's my experience.
Thank you very much. One more comment, and then I'll add my perspective to this. Say your name. Michael.
It's very simple, and it's men having to stand up and be transparent. I was abused. I abused my own children. You have to address this in an open and honest way, with nothing to hide. When you understand what the issue is not what we try to do in every aspect is we try to get people to be involved in wrestling against flesh. It's not a battle against flesh, okay? It's a battle of all of us have to deal with, and that who are we as individuals? I am sharing with my dinner mates, I hate religion, but I love the Lord. Religion is not what Jesus Christ taught us about. He taught us about relationship, and that's what we have to deal with the church. If we don't confront the church and the difference between relationship and religion, then it's just going to continue because it's a big issue inside the church.
Yeah, very good. So, a couple of things on this issue. First is that I guess the best example I've seen of this, of the church doing a really good job, was I spoke once at Bedford-Stuy, which is one of the poorest communities in the country, in Brooklyn, New York. And the congregation was about 750 African-American families, mothers and fathers. And afterwards, the minister brought me back to 32 boys. 32 boys had been involved in 4 different boys groups, and all 28 out of the 32 had been in prison. And as I went around the group and asked them, what led them to, where were they now, what type of progress had they made, almost every boy said that if it wasn't for his or her, I'm so used to using his or her, if it wasn't for his belief in Christ, he would still be committing the crimes that led him to getting into prison to begin with. So we have an enormous, but what the crucial thing was both the belief in Christ, but also something else that was common to that group that also happens in non-religious groups. So in Oakland, California, there's a fellow named Ashanti Branch, and Ashanti got together all the children in Oakland in his school that were being predicted to fail out of school, that were about ready to leave school, drop out of high school. And he got them all together and he asked them to teach him how to be a better teacher that could teach something more than math. Now understand what happened here. A, there was no belief in God. Number 2, he was asking them to talk. Number 3, he was asking them to mentor him. The data shows that the children who do best, who don't have fathers, do even better when they find someone to be a mentor to than they do when they have a mentor. Now, having a mentor is very important and powerful and positive. But when let's say, you find a child that is doing badly, and you get that child somebody who's doing worse than he is, who's younger than he is, and you ask him to mentor that younger child, then every decision the child that is doing the mentoring makes is a decision of, well, let's see, should I not do my homework and then I'll get lower grades, then I won't be as credible a mentor to this boy. So everything that he does is like a father. Boys become men when they become fathers because suddenly they see themselves as having purpose and having responsibility. And so they really increase in their maturity. And boys, when they are mentors, that creates one of the greatest, quickest increases in maturity. So let's say take that to Oakland and take that back to Bedford-Stuy again. So in Oakland, what happened is Ashanti Branch got all the boys to take out pieces of paper and to put on the piece of paper what their mask was, the mask they wore to school every day. And they painted their mask and then do 4 words to describe their mask, which was usually confident, self-assured, stronger than everybody else, and so on. And then on the back of their mask, on the back of the piece of paper, to put how they really felt. And then the boys took those masks and they put them into the group and they mixed them up, and people read what other masks had, and every boy saw that every boy was keeping his real feelings to himself. Now what happened in the Bedford-Stuy church with God and what happened in Oakland without God was the same underlying phenomenon of boys learning that there's vulnerability that we all have, we all share, fears that we have. And when we share those fears and feelings, We no longer feel so alone, so isolated, so in need of putting on a bravado, so in need of bullying other kids. That's what helped all of these boys. The percentage expected to graduate in Oakland was about 0 to 10% of those boys. 100% graduated from high school. 93% went on to either college, junior college, or vocational training afterwards. So it gives you some sense. So divorce is something that we're going to have to deal with because people want freedom once they survive. But how we divorce is something that we have control over, that we have to take charge of. That's our next, and to have the way we are divorcing in the context of male bashing, male shaming, telling our sons in 7th and 8th grade that they have male privilege, and that there's toxic masculinity without understanding the full context of toxicity. Those are the surrounding environmental factors that all of us need to change, but getting the churches involved in the process of helping our boys when they don't have fathers, and getting our boys to have a God the Father when they don't have a biological father is at least a helpful step in the right direction. Thank you.